Hey everyone, it's Richard Metalfan here, bringing you guys a brand new 2023 album review. And today we're going to be talking about the new album from Carnifex entitled Necromanteum, which is out now through Nuclear Blast Records. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Carnifex, they're a deathcore band based out of San Diego, California. Been around since 2005, and for me, Carnifex are one of my all-time favorite bands. I'm friends with some of those guys. And pretty much dig everything they've done. They've pretty much evolved ever since their first album, Dead in My Arms, from 2007, and pretty much evolved, like getting a lot better and more technical, even adding a lot more atmospheric elements, and even hints of like black metal too. And overall, this is the band's ninth studio album, and this follows up their previous album from 2021, Graveside Confessions, which I thought was a pretty good album. But with this album, does Necromantium continue in the same vein as Graveside Confessions, or does it exceed that? In my honest opinion, I think it definitely has. The band definitely has evolved a lot. The musicianship and everything, I just think it's a really good album. One thing to note is just the production is great. I think produced by Mark Lewis and Jason Sukoff. They definitely have a great ear for the production. And let's talk about the vocal work from my buddy Scott Lewis. Scott, in my opinion, is one of my favorite vocalists. He definitely has a great range. It goes from like the lower kind of like guttural growls to even like the higher kind of like black metal screams, which I really think he's a great vocalist. I think his growls have improved a lot. Guitar work on this album is pretty tight from Corey Arford, and of course, first album with their new lead guitarist Neil Tiemann, formerly a Double Driver, which I honestly thought they were going to continue on as a four-piece since the previous album was. And I remember when I interviewed Scott back in 2021 in Nashville, he said that they were going to continue a four-piece, but I guess they decided to add Neil because I know he filled in with them live in 2020, right, which was before the pandemic. But yeah, I think Neil's like addition to the band is just really is perfect. Like the solos he does on this album is great, and then the riffs that Corey does is good. The bass on this album is pretty audible. My boy Fred Calderon definitely stepped up the bass playing on this album. I think it cuts really well with the mix. He definitely locks in with what the guitars are doing with the melody and what the drums are doing with the rhythm. And drumming wise, my boy Sean Cameron definitely does a really great job with the drums. Like he just goes all over the place, like the blast beats and just everything that he does, just insane. So now let's dive into this album track by track, since I rambled on for about 3 minutes almost. Going into the opening track, Torn in Two, which pretty much has all the iconic Carnifex like trademarks, which is like beefy rips, the same drumming, and sort of like the minor key kind of blackened elements, and Scott's like screams is just insane. They definitely have like those good elements, like melding like the black metal into deathcore, and I feel like Carnifex are nearly doubling down on like all elements that have gotten to pretty much where they are today. Then we go to the next song, which is Death's Forgotten Children. Now this features a guest appearance from Tom Barber of Chelsea Grin, and this is an OG kind of deathcore tune, housing sort of like one of the album's filthiest breakdowns. While it just, like I just think that Tom's like feature on this song is just amazing. Then we get to the title track, Necromanteum. Now this is an insanely catchy assault with just a great melodic guitar line that holds the song together. And I just think like Neil, like addition to the band is just really insane. Brings a lot of like the technical flair in the lead guitar passages, and it's just a really great bludgeoning to the face song. Then we get to Crowned in Everblack. Now, this song just, I feel like from what I've heard, I feel like this is a little tribute to the late, great Trevor Sternad from Black Dahlia Murder, which the message is pretty much like, we will not forget your name, which is prominent throughout the track. And I just think it's a really great message. And I love like the piano sections really are just perfect addition with the backing by like the bass from Fred, which adds a lot of weight to the track. And I think it's just a beautiful, brutal song at the same time. Next song on the album is called The Pathless Force. Now this song is a pretty good song, has a lot of heavy distorted guitar effects and sweeping guitars throughout the verses, which creates sort of like a menacing backdrop. drop with the whole song. Um, how the Knife Gets Twisted. Now, this song is probably the most catchiest song on the album, in my opinion. It feels like it's different than what Carnifex has done before. Has a lot of like the groove elements. Always feels like a Carnifex just went groove metal, but still retaining that deathcore kind of sound. And it offers something different. It sort of like breaks the flow of the record, but not to say that it doesn't stop it in like a complete grinding halt. It almost feels like it resets itself in a way. And the chorus here is just very atmospheric at times as too. Um, Next song is Architect of Misanthropy. Now, this song just has some insane chugs and really occasional solos, and I feel like it's easy to see how the band stays on top of their game. Um, Infinite Night Terror is up next. Now, this song introduces itself with a menacing audio representation of a child's dream of the haunted amusement park, really kind of like drawing on sort of like the Halloween kind of like themes that the band is presenting. And a minute into the song, this song has one of the most grin spawning sections of the album that comes in with sick drums and riffs that marching through at a rapid rate. Bleed More is up next. Now, this song is very guitar driven. It brings a lot of like dynamic to the song. The drums also give it a lot of power, and it gives it like a backbone while the guitars carry the momentum. And I love the symphonic elements to the song, which adds like another like a lot of depth and a lot of like layer to it, which makes it a really good song. And then we close things out with Heaven and Hell All at Once. Now, this is an excellent way to end the album, and Neil gets a great solo spot amongst like the best riffs and the pounding drum work and the really great string section here. I think it's a really good song, really great way to end this album. Now, overall, Necromanteum by Carnifex, another great addition to their discography. I'm looking forward to seeing them on the 21st in Atlanta at the Masquerade with Signs of the Swarm. So if anybody's going to that, hope to see you there. So yeah, that's my review of the new Carnifex album, guys. If I were to give this album a score, I'm going to give this a solid 9 out of 10. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and as always, keep it metal.